This is one of hundreds of thousands of companies that are making a fortune selling in the United States thanks to cheap labor and low production costs. In this case, we are talking about furniture made of exotic wood. For the recipient, the Made in Thailand sticker has the added value of exclusivity. Now production is going full steam here, double the manpower and zero downtime. What is unthinkable in the West is the order of the day in Asia. Factories in Thailand, India, Bangladesh, the Philippines, and Vietnam have 90 days to deliver goods to the U.S., with only a 10% tariff. Their biggest competition from China has just dropped out of the race. In the face of such a challenge, there is an opportunity for us to gain more opportunities, but we need to reorganize the entire industry. Other companies that also produce furniture in China will incur higher tariffs. Their customers will likely move their orders, in this case, perhaps to us. The initial upheaval in the markets has unexpectedly become an opportunity for millions of such companies around the world. Many companies are even waiting for the next moves by Washington and Beijing, following the Asian market principle, where two fight, the third sells more. I'm looking at this issue calmly because I've been following the news very closely and always read the documents and weekly analysis. I'm not surprised by what President Trump is doing. I think it's more of a negotiating skill, so I don't think he will really implement it. It's just a numbers game. The numbers game has gone to a new level on the Washington-Beijing line. China was the only one that reacted aggressively to the U.S. announcement of tariffs, and the only one not subject to a 90-day suspension of tariffs. It seems that the White House prepared a test that Beijing failed. That's why Donald Trump finally decided to raise tariffs on Chinese goods to 145% in total.
No, I'm not concerned. I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both. But, you know, we've been treated so badly for so many years. Again, we allowed that to happen.
China, however, is not thinking of letting off the hook. In response to Washington's move, they have imposed further tariffs, 125% in total. According to party officials, this is the only way to show that China has no intention of ceding the field to the Americans. Our countermeasures are aimed at protecting rights and interests, but also upholding international rules and order and maintaining international fairness and justice. In the face of intimidation and hegemony from the U.S., compromise and concessions are not the way out. Except that there is one problem, the numbers, and those are not favorable in the long run, especially for China. The value of goods exported to the United States from China is more than $525 billion. America sells goods to China for less than 1/5 of that amount. The Trump administration sees tariffs as a multi-purpose weapon used to improve the competitive environment for U.S. industry, generate additional government revenue, but also as a means to leverage other goals, such as fighting illegal migration and drug trafficking. On the other hand, looking at the global market, the vast majority of basic consumer products today come from China. From pens to electronics, toys to clothing, and household goods. It will take years to build new factories capable of satisfying the U.S. market, aside from costs.
Going back to my example about the food supply, lysine and tryptophan, things that we need to feed animals and feed ourselves, we don't produce them anymore because we just found it more economical, to use a word, to buy them from China. But if we felt that it'd always be cheaper to produce them and buy them in the United States, there are plenty of good companies that would make them in the United States, but they're not going to do it until they're pretty sure that the millions and billions of dollars they invest are really going to pay off. So a question of certainty also goes into, hey, how much is going to come out of this? That's the big question most people have no clarity on right now is how long and how certain are these effects?
It's hard to assume that the White House has no idea. It's more likely that Trump is using the tariffs as leverage to negotiate and establish a new global trade order that China is so far unwilling to agree to. Looking at Washington's tactics, however, it seems that in the long run, this plan could work. This is what has happened here in Panama, for example, where the authorities not so much forced Chinese companies out of strategic ports around the Panama Canal, but allowed them to sell them to U.S. corporations. Now, much to China's fury, Panama has agreed to deploy U.S. troops in the canal area.